And it's like, whatever the hell we want, damn it, or something like that. I wrote that down.
Exactly. Welcome to Ramblemancy, everybody.
Ah, fuck.
Hello. I didn't get surprised that time. Yay!
I wasn't watching closely enough.
Freeman's absolutely correct. Whatever the hell we want. Um,
Haha. Freeman got blindsided this time.
yeah.
Nice.
Welcome everyone. John Numa says Lucas making trouble again. That's correct. Always and forever. Um, welcome. Tonight we're joined by Olivia in place of John, who got his second health jab, and it took the evening off just in case. So, um, however, John is in the chat, so he'll be here to, do John things in the chat.
Sometimes I can still hear his voice.
Ah, yes.
Um,
They say
hmm.
that even now, this many years later, you can still hear John being thrown under the bus.
Oh my god.
Anyway, hi.
Oh.
Tonight, he's not dead. No, he's not. That's very positive thinking of you, Koala. Thank you.
Wow.
Anyway, tonight we are going to be talking about something, or maybe nothing, as the live tweet said. We'll find out. So, before we get started, however, just a few announcements and/or reminders. The first of which is that next week, this is actually our last broadcast for a whole week. So, yeah, ish, more than that actually. But the point is, you're not going to see us here during any of our normal broadcasting next week. So the whole first full week of April, you're not going to see our lovely faces gracing
We're
your
gonna be sleeping.
screen of choice. Yeah, we're gonna be something. I mean,
Fair
I'm gonna
enough.
be chilling.
I'm not gonna promise that I'm gonna sleep. But
Yeah.
I will be. I'm promising that I will sleep.
fair enough. Fair enough. But yeah, so next sleeping for 150 hours straight. Yeah.
Olivia will be getting enough sleep for all of us.
Yeah. That's how it works. I think it's sleep via transitive property.
Yeah.
So if you sleep 8 hours, 4 hours for me, 4 hours for Lucas. Wait, no, 2 hours for me, 2 hours for Lucas, 2 hours for.
You
Never
guys are
mind.
like
I
elves,
lost.
you only have to sleep 4 hours or whatever.
Yeah. So anyway, we will not be here next week, but we will be here the week after that. Um uh theoretically, the next bunch of Ramblemancy episodes will be up on time on Monday. But maybe also not. We'll find out. Like I have they have had some trouble going from Twitch to YouTube this time around. But
Mm-hmm.
so I didn't actually get them scheduled during my usual time when I do that, but I'm going to do my best. So
Mischievous.
yeah.
Twitch has been a bit complicated here and
Yeah,
there.
Twitch has been kind of a butt sometimes. Anyway, the point is those are there uh currently all our backlog of all Ramblemancy episodes since we went remote should be up on our YouTube, and yeah, that's those are all there to view. It's now easier than ever to watch the previous episodes of Ramblemancy because you don't have to handle Twitch's weird setup for watching VODs. So yeah. Yeah, everybody's kind of confirming Twitch has been kind of bad lately. Yeah, there's been a
She
lot of
can
stuff.
hear you.
Yeah, Twitch is listening. Anyway, yeah, I think that's most of it. Of course, also our latest episode of Infinite Horizon went up today on YouTube, so you can watch that there as well. Um,
It was a doozy.
it was a lot. It was quite
Was
a
it
lot.
good? It was good.
Um,
That's all I'm saying about it.
so yeah, that stuff is there. I think that's most of our announcements. I think that's everything we need to remember. We do have a charity event that is coming up later this month, but we'll have more information on that to you after our break. So, okay. I don't know actually how to start this episode without John here to throw under the bus. So, yeah, how's it going, everybody?
Well, I'll be thrown under the bus. I
Okay.
actually don't really, So I volunteer to be thrown under the bus.
Okay.
And I actually don't have a way of starting so much as I
Heroic.
was just, yes, so heroic. I volunteer as tribute.
Yeah.
Oof, that was a dated one.
A bit, yeah, you're right. Holy
What
shit.
year
But
is
no-
it?
No,
I almost made an error through the knee joke when John getting the vaccine, and then I was like,
yeah.
no, we can't do that one.
It's been 10 years. We can get
Yeah.
over that by now. We can get over
know.
that one.
No,
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, like, I had this realization the other day when I probably should have gathered this or figured this out sooner, but when I'm doing like writing for this, when we're doing writing for our rule of lore,
Mhm.
and I'm doing writing for our TTC, I'm writing with writers. I'm writing with literally like English majors.
Yeah, that's true.
All of you.
Yeah, you're a little outnumbered.
I'm surrounded.
You're surrounded.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I have to pat myself on the back because that actually means I'm actually writing.
Yeah,
Feel all right
absolutely.
about that. So I had that realization. I finally have accepted that I can do a little bit of writing, and I don't give myself as hard a time with it now.
Yeah, and you write. You always write some cool stuff
Yeah.
for the tabletop.
I
tool
will
chest,
say the
so.
only reason that this time around that I knew which ones were yours is because I literally was watching the document as you were putting them in.
I know all eyes were on me.
I was looking at the document when I saw you putting them in. No, it's interesting. I was talking about this. Like, there's lots of times where I'll see like you'll like write stuff, and like for the tabletop tool chest, like before I get there, because it's quite often that I'm the last one to put mine in. But I truly and honestly can't tell who wrote what most of the time. So yeah.
I can usually tell if John has written it. I don't know. I can for some reason I can just tell. Like, I don't know. I think sometimes I can't tell between Lucas and Freeman though. I can't always guess your guys.
Cool. Huh.
Freeman and I have a lot of similar influences in terms of
True.
like the stuff that we like. So yeah, we have a lot of very similar influences. So we tend to think a lot alike when it comes to making stuff.
Oh, it's like conversations, but on paper.
Yeah, exactly. Turns out,
If
if you're really good friends with somebody for like 14 years, start to rub off on each other.
Yeah.
And if you don't know what we're talking about, then you might want to subscribe on Patreon so you can read the Tabletop Chill Chest because it's cool.
Yeah. Anyway, this whole episode of Ramblemancy, surprise, is actually just 1 hour and a half long advertisement for our Patreon content.
Yeah,
God.
so the plan is that Freeman and Lucas are gonna just make small talk, and then I'm gonna slip in the transition to the ad.
It's a quick, like, it's what's known in marketing as a 1-2 punch, right? Like the
Gotta get the call to action in there.
yeah, you got like everybody over here like, wow, you know what I sure do love? A way to support my favorite content creators while also getting cool stuff in return. Man, I love that too. It's pretty great. And then Olivia, subscribe. That's how this works. That's what this whole episode is. No, truth be told, we had an idea for a topic for this episode, but none of us were really feeling it. So we just said fuck it. And now we're just here doing what we do. Which is, being really good at being in front of cameras and talking to people about stuff.
Well, we're in front of a camera. Is that what that blue flashing thing is? Is it supposed to be flashing?
No, actually.
No,
Okay.
Freeman, you're getting flashed right now? I don't know if that's internet appropriate.
Pause for a second. Is your camera flashing? Because it's not supposed to do that. It's not supposed to be doing that for you. Oh my gosh. Flashbang through the door, says John. John Numa says, I was just reading about the history of clowns and how the skit would often be two clowns playing off each other. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting.
So who are you calling the clown here?
I think the answer to that question is yes.
Okay.
But yeah.
Did anyone get pranked for April Fool's Day?
Oh yeah, that's right. That happened yesterday, did it?
I got pranked in kind of a stupid way on Twitter.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was scrolling through my timeline. It was early in the morning, so I wasn't fully awake, and I saw an image that was like newly found 89 Emily Dickinson sonnets, and I was like, what? And I opened it. I was like, they found new poems? And then I looked at it, it was obviously fake. There aren't just like 89 undiscovered poems and letters written somewhere, like we would know. But
in fairness, that's like the perfect bait for me too. So like that's I did get tricked on that one for a second, and it did make me sad. Yeah. That English major prank, exactly. Yeah.
Cool. Well, that was on my specific poetry Twitter, so that's why it was showing up there. And quick plug, if you want to see, I'm doing a poem every day as part of April National Poetry Month. So if you want to see that just nonsense, go follow me on Iconic Poetics and you will see that.
Heck yeah. I don't know if I'd call it a prank, but it sure as hell felt like one, which is that John actually heard me rant about this earlier today, which is a really fun situation that I got into with good news, bad news. Finally got stimulus money, so there's that. Bad news is that bureaucracy sucks and it can go die in a fire. Oh
man.
So no, I spent a bunch of time accidentally locking myself out of my account for like the money thing, and then like listening. The first time in my entire life I've ever listened to every single option in the automated voice menu somewhere. I listened to every single option trying to find the thing that it told me I could find by calling that number, which is a way to help me unlock my account. And at no point did I find anything even remotely related, except for one time where it like sort of seemed like it was getting close, and I selected that option, and then it was like, for information on your account settings and your account status, blah blah blah, go to the website under the FAQ section and find and whatever, and then it just goes goodbye and hung up the phone.
Wait, were you having to call like the IRS?
No, it was like
something.
It's whatever.
It's the worst thing you ever have to do in your life if you have to call a governmental office.
I mean, it was through the like economic impact plan or whatever, that thing. But yeah, I eventually figured out how to get the money transferred into my account. What I did not, I still haven't unlocked my environmental impact card account.
Oh man!
So that is so complicated. Why is that so complicated? Just give you the cash.
America, baby.
Yeah, sounds like terrible. Not exclusively, because Nico's talking about times when he's gotten like he's wasted time on shit like this. So yeah, like it's bureaucracy is universal.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's just especially hellish here.
Yeah. Exactly, John Numa. The automatic service saying goodbye and hanging up is, in fact, the worst. I was like, no, you didn't answer my question yet. You just sent me to the same place that told me to call this number. It's just, I swear, it's like I said, it was probably not a prank, but it sure felt like one. Yeah. Website told me to call the number told me to go to the website.
Anyway. Yeah.
Terrible.
I'm not entirely convinced I'm not dead and in purgatory right now. So
there never was a number to call.
Speaking of Lost, no, I'm just kidding.
Oh my gosh, no, we're saving that for the podcast.
Oh god.
Oh no.
We have to do it. I came up with a name for it.
I know.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Oh god.
I'll need to hear about that later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This isn't the announcement for our podcast. Nope. That's not what this is.
No, it isn't. It's a hour and a half long plug for our Patreon content.
Oh yeah, sorry.
I didn't get pranked whatsoever. I think it's because a lot of it relies heavily on like, I mean, in my opinion, I think it relies a lot on like being in the same vicinity as someone. Because a lot of people like to pull like, I think, physical like pranks, like pulling the
Mhm.
seat from under. No, I'm kidding. That's not really, but kind of like that. So I feel like I avoided most of pranks that happened this year.
Yeah.
I also forgot on like several occasions that it was April 1st.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that like, didn't that used to be a New Year instead?
Wait, what?
Didn't it
I
used
don't
to be
know.
wasn't April 1st supposed to be well, not supposed to, wasn't it the New Year at
I
one
don't know.
point?
Is that
Like
like with the different calendar? I
like
think
I don't
we've
know,
been
like
on the Caesar calendar for
like
a few
like
thousand centuries.
oh yeah, maybe not. I don't
Centuries.
know.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. No, like I let's see. I s- have I haven't experienced them, but I heard about like the classic shit that happens like with big brand accounts and like tweeting out like stupid shit that they're doing that's obviously not true, but I never saw any of it. I just heard about it afterwards. Like
Oh
I don't know.
man.
I feel like I
I
don't
like
know.
when stupid companies do like April Fool's Day pranks, and I'm like, how long have they been sitting on
I
this?
know. I was just like did they That's the thing. So I want to know. I'm curious about that process. Like, do they have like meetings to plan out their big April Fool's prank? Because if so, that just seems like it totally defeats the purpose. Like, just imagine how in my mind I just imagine how like joyless those meetings are. Where like people are being
Yeah.
forced to come up with an April Fool's prank and they're just like brainstorming about like it's like
Oh,
I don't
I
know.
mean, I don't know. Brands are like people now, so
Ugh,
it's
hate
like I
that.
was actually watching a whole
hmm.
video on this today about how brands on Twitter have become like you associate them with personalities because of the way that they tweet.
Yeah.
Like Arby's is tweeting depressed tweets or whatever, and you're like, okay, I guess it's relatable. And then you talk about it. Like KFC made a weird Lifetime movie parody, like a feature film. Like
Yeah.
brands are just doing weird shit these days.
Yeah. Geek Outs. Yeah, Geek Outs. The Volkswagen was absolutely one of the ones that I was thinking about. That's one of the ones that I heard about. Um,
I don't
yeah,
think I heard about that, huh?
yeah. It's worth looking into because it's interesting in terms of how it was basically just they didn't really think that one through. Let's go with that. They didn't really think it through. But yeah,
I don't know. I think pranks are really hard to succeed at because it's a very fine line between like pranking someone and just like being a dick.
Yeah.
And so you have to like ride that
yeah,
line. And as someone who is very easily one confused and two, I'm like pretty gullible with people that I trust. So yeah, pranks are can be mean.
Hmm.
yeah, absolutely. Uh, I mean, like I had a there was a prank that I pulled when I was like 11 or so
Hmm.
that ended up being it ended up being like okay, so I was habitually bullied when I was in like 6th grade, 7th, 6th grade. Um both really, but specifically 6th grade. Um
Boo.
yeah, not like physically bullied or anything like that, but just sort of like, kids being, shitty.
Hmm.
Uh so anyway, there's like one girl in particular who was like the worst um about it. And anyway, that's the setup for this. So on the day of on April Fool's Day, I like looked I did the thing where in the kitchen in my school, the little sprayer thing, I taped the handle for the sprayer down, and then I walked away. But then immediately I started feeling terrible and like about it because I was like, wait a second, what if a teacher goes in there and it happens to a teacher and whatever? And then I panicked about it, and then promptly forgot about it. Um,
Classic.
and apparently the whole day went by without anybody actually turning on the sink because um, towards the end of the day there was this girl and another guy from my class, they had like they went to the public middle school in the middle of the day to do orchestra because our school didn't offer it. Um, so they had to ride their bikes just like a couple blocks down. And when they rode their bikes back at the end of their orchestra time, apparently like her pant leg got caught in the gears of her bike, and so she kind of lost her balance and fell and scraped up her hand, and then went into the kitchen to clean it up, and just got blasted with water.
Oh my gosh, you took your revenge.
I was in the middle of math class, and then all of a sudden I just see like the door of the classroom bangs open, and she just screams, "Lucas!" Because apparently the other guy, like the guy that she was with, like knew that I had done this and had told her. And I was terrified.
No.
I was too scared that I was going to get in trouble to actually like thoroughly appreciate the moment. But like there was this beat, and everybody in the classroom just busted out laughing. It was yeah. Anyway.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I did do some prankage at my old work. I used to work in a dish pit, and so it was late. I was the closing shift. I was training this new person, and we decided to, because the restaurant has like millions of gloves and like latex gloves. So we blew up these gloves so they're just like big hands, and we hid them in all these little places, like in the dish machine, on the shelves, like in the dry storage area, underneath like a bowl, in the produce section, like a box of like I think it was some kind of, it's like squash or something. There was just one of those, and just left them all over the kitchen. So that the person who got there in the morning would just see like these like latex glove balloons, just hand balloons, just waving around.
That's amazing.
I love that. That's like a cute prank because it's just funny and it doesn't hurt anyone.
Yeah. There was an I feel like we've told this. I've told this story on here before, but it wasn't an April Fool's prank. But it was some friends in college. John knows about this. John was part of this. Some friends in college. They had a like a 4-person suite, but it was really just two-person rooms separated by a door. And so they basically were like living. Yeah, John knows what I'm talking about. They were living together, and 2 of them who were each other's roommate. They went paintballing for a weekend. And of course, when they went paintballing, the other 2 roommates, well, a couple of our friends had figured out that you can actually get 500 boxes from the post office. And it's not limited. It's by like individual people can get. So they both went down there and got 1,000 boxes, and then proceeded to get a bunch of friends involved and in assembling the boxes, and they just filled their suite mate's room with boxes. Just filled it floor to ceiling. They even went like under the beds and filled like negative space in the room, like around furniture and shit like that. And so then they got home at the end of the weekend of paintballing, and they couldn't get in their rooms and had to like disassemble all the boxes. Yeah, jolly old Obnixilus was there too. Welcome, by the way. Yeah, those were your suite mates. Okay, that's what I thought, but I wasn't sure. Yep.
Whoa, good timing.
That was very good timing. We're talking about pranks in general. It started out as April Fool's, but now I think it's just in general. I also... Karaoke Night says, if I recall, they were extremely angry. Yes, I do recall hearing that. I was supposed to be involved in this, but nobody ever texted me when it was time to assemble the boxes. So I remain involuntarily blameless.
You have plausible deniability.
I am involuntarily blameless here. God. A variation on the classic fill a room with balloons. Yes, exactly, John Numa.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh. I also had my freshman year in college. There was a guy who lived on my floor, a friend of mine, who got into a prank war with his girlfriend, and she was way better at it than he was. Like way better. We made a duct tape wall once and put it over the door to her room while she was inside it. That was my idea. He didn't come up with that one. That was me. And then in retaliation, she conspired with his roommate to steal all of his pants and distribute them amongst the girls' floor, so that he had to go door to door knocking, asking for his pants back.
Oh man.
Oh, that one is so bad.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I like to think that like someone's mom was visiting them, you know, like just stopped by their room and like a random guy just knocks on the door and is like, "So are my pants here?"
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Oh God. Okay, Ninja Penguin has one. I think my best one was when one of my friends was taking a semester off, so as a goodbye, we wrapped up his car in wrapping paper. Amazing. And we waited for his
Good.
roommate to let us know when he was done packing, which was like 2 a.m. Then we covered the car in wrapping paper, including the antenna. Sadly, we missed his reaction because we all thought he wasn't going to be up early, but he had made breakfast plans with another friend.
Oh
Oh
my
no.
goodness.
I
That's good.
when my roommate was abroad for January, for the month of January, I definitely covered all of his possessions in sticky notes. Like everything he left in the room, I covered it in sticky notes. It's a monumental waste of sticky notes, yes, but was it worth it? Absolutely not. He was mildly annoyed at best.
oof. See, that's when the prank sometimes misses.
Yeah, you know. Yeah, he was just kind of like, did you write that? I wrote welcome home on the on some of the sticky notes with like one letter per note. So I did write welcome home. But like seriously, his entire desk and everything looked like a piñata. It was amazing.
Oh my
Uh,
gosh.
yeah.
Oh, perfect.
Uh let's see. Yeah, pranks.
I have one other one that I didn't do. It happened sort of to me and my dad
Mhm.
when I was like 6 or 7. We were just driving to this lake. It was like, I think August, and we used to swim there a lot. And we're out kind of in the middle of nowhere, just kind of driving down this road. It's a sunny day, and I'm really short, and I'm just old enough not to be in a car seat, but I'm not tall enough to see over the dashboard. So my dad like exclaims very loudly, and I'm very confused, and he pulls over. And then I look over, and there's this kid laying on the road with what looks like he's got blood on him. So we're like, my dad's panicking
Fucked
because I
up
don't think
prank.
no, exactly, no cell phone. And as soon as my dad gets out and walks toward this kid, he's a little older than me. He's much older than me. He's like maybe 12 or 13. He gets up and says, "Hey, for fools!" And runs off down this rural road to nowhere.
That is fucking funny, but terrifying.
It's like you think for a minute, like, "Oh shit, someone did a hit and run." It's just this bored ass,
Like they're like 12-year-old.
out
Oh
in
my
this
god.
field and just runs off. And my dad's like, I don't even remember my dad's reaction. I was confused. I didn't know what April Fool's was at that point. Not a great introduction to it. But I was just like, now I'm thinking like that is probably like the worst
Yeah, like your dad
prank.
was like, "Oh my god, that kid is dead." Like
Something like
from
that, right?
afar.
Jesus.
It's like what do you do when you're out there, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
My dad has done some really mean pranks in his time that I've heard about them because I don't remember them happening, I think because I was too young. But there was one year where he gave my aunt a fake lottery, like a fake winning lottery ticket. And so and we always do scratch offs in my family, like it's something that like is a yearly tradition, and so it wouldn't be weird that we'd all have scratch offs. And so she scratched it off, and it was like she won like $1 million or something, and she was going around freaking out, telling everyone everything she was gonna buy, and like he let it go on for a
Oh my
while.
god.
And she was like, "I'm gonna pay for the beach house this year," like because my family like would go on vacation together and stuff, and she was like, "I'm gonna pay for it," like all of this. And she went on and on, and then he was like, "Okay, yeah, so where do you cash it in? Flip it over and see where you cash it in." And on the back of the ticket, the like location said like cash in at your mama's house or something on the back. And she was so pissed.
Oh, that's terrible.
He did like another one
Wow.
where he tricked my cousin into thinking when she was a kid that he gave her a phone, but it was like not like it was in a phone box, but he had wrapped like just something random. And this was back before like kids really had cell phones. She was, this was maybe like, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And so she was freaking out, and then she opened it and there was no phone inside. Isn't that just
See,
so mean?
that is actually just
Yeah.
mean. That's
It's a fine line.
Yeah. It's a fine line, but there is a line. Edgefit calling me out here because I mean, what were you going to use the sticky notes for? Notes that you weren't ever going to read again? I mean, correct.
Oh man.
But yeah. Koala, I agree. I think that's just bullying.
Yeah, again, my dad has some funny pranks and some not so funny pranks. It's like a 50-50 shot.
Yeah. Oh god, that's pretty fucked up. Oh my god. Yeah, I don't know. It's definitely a fine line. I'm trying to remember any of the other pranks that that friends of mine have pulled. I've never really been like a prank person, so
Yeah, I also don't really I never like to watch those prank shows. I don't know why there's so many prank shows and what does anybody watch them? If anybody watches prank shows, please tell me.
Schadenfreude. It's Schadenfreude.
But I like hate watching that.
Oh,
Maybe
yeah,
I just
absolutely.
get I just feel bad for them. I just get nervous.
I'm like, because the only thing that I think about anytime I see those prank shows, the only time I'm thinking, the only thing I'm thinking about is how many pranks like this happened where it did not end well because the person took it seriously and thought that they or somebody else was in serious actual danger and like defended themselves. Like how many times has that, like I don't know. I just that's the only thing I can think of whenever I'm watching prank shows.
Yeah. Oof.
Yeah, my coworker one time was like, you've seen my work shirt? We have work shirts. And they were just in the dishwasher just getting washed. Oh man.
Yeah.
I had nothing but time to do prank stuff at work because that's just a job where you've got nothing but time between dishes. So you have to make it interesting.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. John Numa said, my brother and I made fake old letters guiding to a secret treasure in an obscure nook of our fairly old house. We guided some friends and played along for a while, and then after we made another set and hid it in the house for the new owners. That's amazing.
That's cool.
That reminds me.
That's just like cool. That's just like a nice thing to do.
My last year in college, my friend and I discovered a treasure map that somebody had left from a previous year. We discovered it in like the ceiling tiles, like those ceiling panels that you can kind of like push up.
Isn't that like geocaching? Isn't that a thing?
Yeah, kind of. But like, yeah, it was like a legit treasure map, and we ran all around the building, but it ended in a dead end. I think somebody at some point after that had been put after whoever had put effort into doing this, I think somebody might have found one of the clues and sort of broke the chain basically.
They beat you to it.
Yeah. But it was really fun for a while because we were just like going into random people's suites and being like, "Hey, so we're on a treasure hunt."
I love that.
Can we look in your ceiling?
Yeah. Yes.
I love that.
It was a lot of fun for for a short period of time that we met a lot of cool people too, like who got very excited.
There should be more reasons in life to go on treasure hunts. Like I feel like in shows and in books and movies, people go on treasure hunts a lot more than I have ever gone on any. So
honestly, yes, childhood media really gave me unrealistic expectations as to how many treasure hunts I'd be going on in my life.
Yeah, that and quicksand.
Correct.
I feel like there are lots of childhood tropes where it's so common when you're a kid. It's like the story that you just always hear, and then when you grow up, you're like, that just doesn't happen as often as I was taught that it would.
Yeah, absolutely.
Stop, drop, and roll. That's a good one.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah, that's one I've never... Okay, let's stop for a second, because I've never examined that one. We're taught exactly what to do if we get lit on fire, but, like, what a strange thing to teach people. Like, I understand, like, I get it. Like, it's an important thing to know how to do in the event that it happens to you. But like, how often does?
Why would you?
We should be, yeah.
Would you do that in the moment? Like, I feel like if I would caught on fire, I would not remember to stop, drop, and roll. I think my thoughts would be, I'm on fire, and then someone would throw water on me. Like, I feel like that is how that would go.
Well, as someone who did catch their leg on fire one time.
Well, yeah. How'd that go for you?
I stopped and I
That's
dropped.
You
But
roll?
I my leg rolled. I didn't do a full body roll, but like I hit my leg on the ground. Gasoline is really like explosive, so I needed a little. It needed more like cutting oxygen off. So I kind of just threw my coat on it.
Yeah, I mean,
so I don't know. Really, you should be teaching people how to avoid the situation in the first place, how to not like get in the situation.
I do kind of appreciate though the fact that that lesson is kind of like, all right, so listen, we know at some point you're gonna play with lighters or something flammable. We know it's gonna happen, so here's what to do when it goes badly. So I do appreciate that they're like, we're not gonna tell you not to do it because we know you're going to.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Sorry, I'm just reading the chat now. That is why they teach it, so you remember to do it in the moment.
I suppose that is.
It's like the other thing you're taught as a kid, like internet safety, all those rules disregarded. You know, we just talk to strangers all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
true. I mean, sometimes it be like that way.
Gemini Lightning probably not going to be there because of familial obligations. I'm rooting for you all. Thank you. Have fun with your familial obligations, or at least stay sane with your familial obligations, whichever one is most applicable.
We'll miss you.
Yeah. So let's see. Amethyst Cat Lady says, "See, my mom caught fire when she was 3 and got 3rd-degree burns over most of her body. So I really thought it was going to be more of a thing I didn't encounter." Yeah. See that right there. That is like a legitimate thing that, like, as a kid, if you like hear about that, then like that's a thing that's legitimate. Like, you believe that that's more of a concern that you should have. But like most people are just taught stop, drop, and roll when you catch on fire. And I feel like as a kid, you don't question like, wait, is that gonna happen? You're just like, oh yeah, no, that makes sense. Cool.
Yeah, I really thought I was gonna run into more orphans from all of the media.
Wait,
I think I'm just thinking about that because I've been watching a series of unfortunate events. So I think that's why I've been thinking about it. But like every book you read, you know, the parents are dead or there's
yeah.
you know, so in real life I haven't really met too many.
Right, yeah.
Or any.
Oh god, I'm trying to think of like other stuff that like, yeah, that's fair, geek outs, depending on where you live, yeah.
Fair.
All right, Carrie Knut said, when I was younger, we burned large debris piles because we lived on some land. My mom never left the area, and we never had a problem. But one time she went on a 10-minute errand, and when she came back, we had managed to light the entire field on fire. Oh my god! And the fire trucks had to come and stop it from spreading to the neighbor's field.
Oh my god!
One
Are you West Coast?
One of the this is Midwest, I think.
Okay.
One of the fire trucks got stuck in the mud and they had to leave it overnight. My mom never left again. Yeah, that's
that is so scary.
Man.
I'm glad that no one was hurt.
Do y'all remember, like, was this a universal experience that like in like middle school for you, like it took a surprisingly little amount of anything for like to be labeled as a pyro? Like,
Yeah, I mean,
like you
I feel like
literally you just own a lighter, and they're like, "Oh, you're such a pyro." Like the other kids would be
Mhm.
like, "Oh yeah, he's such a pyro." It's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think I had that experience until high school, but then yeah, it's
I think
mhm.
I definitely was. I definitely was. Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, my dude, I just like
But
candles. Calm down. Yeah,
yeah, I like.
exactly.
I mean, I don't know. I'll use any excuse to go out and make up like if I can there's a fire around, like I'll just show up, Like I do
Right?
love a good fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Edgefish says I've started a lot of fires in different ways. Never set myself ablaze.
Trill is such
Uh,
a pyro.
in a way I needed to stop, drop, and roll. Well, that's good at least.
It's
Uh,
good.
uh,
I did make a fire with like a sort of a flamethrower of sorts. It's just a propane tank and like there's a thing and you just light it and it's just like a big flame, and that's how I started a fire one time, and it was really exhilarating, but
That sounds cool.
terrifying because it was really windy, so I was not really fond of that. It was in the summer, so yeah, it's very dry and
That
a little nerve
that
wracking.
sounds like you were very fortunate.
yeah.
I think I pretty much was, because the dial was so sensitive, and if you turned it just a little too much, it would just kind of somewhat engulf the whole area in a big fireball of sorts. And that happened a couple times, and I turned it off, and I was like, that was fun,
Yeah.
but never give this to me again.
You know what's so wild to me is that where I was growing up in Montana, like when I was there, we were in the middle of like a 10-year drought or something,
Oh,
right?
man.
It was bone dry, like to the point where sometimes like you'd have to be careful when we had to be careful when we were like riding our horses in the pastures and whatnot, because you'd have to be like, it was so dry that you were terrified that if the horseshoe struck a rock and caused sparks, the whole thing would just go up like a tinderbox,
Yeah.
right? So like we like, that's how dry it was, and yet we just very casually had 4th of July, like it was nothing, just random people like in the streets just setting off fireworks.
Really?
Wow. That sounds like that's not surprising to me in any way, but I hate to hear
That's
it.
very Montana.
Wow.
it's very Montana. But yeah, I don't know. It never occurred to me when I was a kid. I guess like stuff like that, like consequences don't really occur to you when you're a child. But like, I don't know. Like we were
True.
never like, me and my family were never like setting off fireworks or anything like that. Okay, that's not entirely true. One time, my best friend and I, using his firecrackers, we definitely attacked an anthill once doing that.
Did you defeat the ants?
No, because as it turns out, um, shooting bottle rockets at an anthill will do very little.
Ah,
Does
It's true.
almost
I mean,
nothing to the anthill. It just makes loud noises. So
where they like thatch ants? I believe that's
I don't
oh,
think
that's
so. I think
oh
no.
yeah, they're ant. Yeah.
I don't like the sound of that, whatever it is.
They just, the ones that have big mount. There's just like a big like ant hill, and their colony goes like 4 feet underground, and they have like
Yeah.
they're like yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
It does piss them off. It does that super well, yes, but mostly they don't. It does nothing to the anthill. So
Yeah.
I mean, when you're a kid, I feel like you really don't understand consequences. Like, I think you're scared that something like bad could happen, but you don't really like know what that could be fully because you're a kid. So you get into some real mischief.
Mm-hmm.
True.
Yeah. I feel like that's true even from like 14 until like, because when I was 14 I like I volunteered as like a junior camp counselor for like a kids day camp. Well, it was a summer camp back then, but now it's a day camp. And pre-pandemic I was like one of the co like senior counselors at the day camp, working there as an employee. But when I was 14, I remember we'd go into the fort here in town where there's like old bunkers because it was an old military fort. And there's bunkers and the kids like to play in the bunkers and whatever. But back then, I'd see the kids doing stuff like running around those bunkers and whatever, and it was like not a big deal. Now, when they're running around in those bunkers, I'm like constantly on edge that somebody's gonna fall off and crack their skull or like
Mhm.
hurt themselves,
Yeah.
cut themselves on some of the
Yeah.
old metal shit or whatever. And I'm like constantly terrified. Things that just straight up did not even occur to me when I was 14.
Mhm.
Yeah, like you just like I feel I used to climb on such dangerous things. I used
Mhm.
to like cross creeks and rivers on like
Yeah.
trees, and I was like I could have fallen. Like I watched Bridge to Terabithia. I read that book when I was a kid and I did it anyway. Like
Yeah. Oh god.
Oh God.
Why would
Yeah.
why would you bring that up, Olivia?
Damn.
That's
I'm just saying, like
welcome
that's
to
what I mean. Like
Ramblemancy. Today we're gonna cry.
well, I've just been thinking a lot about like books that you've like I don't know, like formative childhood books because I've been watching Series of Unfortunate Events on
Mhm.
Netflix, which was like a very formative book series for me.
Yeah.
And so I'm sorry, I've just been on my mind lately.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Do,
What is
do,
Ramblemancy if not free therapy?
do you guys have any like childhood book or media that I don't know you've revisited when you're older and you've kind of been like, oh wow, this was really impactful for me, and like kind of thought about why? I think it's really interesting to see what people gravitated towards and why they would come back to it as an adult.
Hmm.
Yeah, I do. Absolutely. I currently don't have it, so I don't remember what if it's abridged or unabridged. It's in Lucas, you have it right now.
Oh yeah, I do.
It's
You're right.
it's the story Lord of the Rings audio book
Yeah, it's
kind
like
of, but it's
the
like read
BBC
by
audio
several.
drama.
Yeah, audio drama. So there's like
Oh,
many voices.
it's like dramatized, like
Yeah, I think the one of the voices of Frodo is who plays Bilbo in Lord of the
Yeah,
Rings.
Ian
Who
Holm.
plays Ian Holmes? Thank you. Yeah. So absolutely that, because like no one. I don't think I was read the Lord of the Rings, so I don't know how I got into it, but I listened to that nonstop. I almost went to sleep. I think listening to the drama.
Yeah.
And it's
that's
it's not.
interesting because you
Yeah.
you like you're like a theater guy, right? You like theater, so that's interesting that that would really speak to you, that version, because it's like a little play that you're listening to.
It is exactly.
Yeah.
I love it. They have sound effects in there too for like the battle scenes or when they're
Mm-hmm.
just like opening a door or opening a keg or whatever. They have the sound effects, they have music, and the voice actors, of course. I think I mean, I love that part a lot. I think I like if it were to, like between reading and listening to a story, I think I love listening, especially if it's a good reader.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I think um, uh, what's his name? He reads the Jim Dale
Mm-hmm.
reads for Harry Potter, and Harry Potter is what it is. But Jim Dale's voice when he reads the books it's just amazing. It's just I
Jim
love it.
Dale reading Harry Potter was a lot of my childhood.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh gosh, what was I will echo what Edgefit says, which is Artemis Fowl. Yes, absolutely. That was um I wouldn't call that one formative for me, but it was definitely during like a formative time that I read it.
Hmm.
Um but yeah. God, there was something else that I read around that time and I'm trying to remember what it was that was like yeah, I don't know. I don't know that honestly, I think the most formative stuff that I read back then was like Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings. So like
Yeah.
those are kind of like the biggest ones that did that. Also, oh, actually that's not true. There is a series that is unfortunately no longer canon about Obi-Wan Kenobi and Qui-Gon
Mhm.
Jinn when like Obi-Wan was an apprentice and it's called the Jedi Apprentice series and those were pretty formative. I loved those books. They were very good. Um
Mhm.
let's see. Yeah, not for particular reasons. I don't know. I didn't get into like like age appropriate literature until I was much older.
Oh, I think I started like reading Series of Unfortunate Events because my mom was reading them with me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like we'd read them every night before bed. And I don't know, something about those books. I mean, I know what it is. It's like obviously it's so funny, but then the story is so dark, and then it has that like funny balance of just
Yeah.
terrible things happening, but the tone is so like funny that it just has a really interesting balance, and also it teaches you a lot of words. Like it taught me like so many words that I didn't know,
Mm-hmm.
but in a funny way. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I think those books were just, yeah, very, very formative. I was saying how I think they are English major propaganda. Like because if anybody has read those books, like everything is a literary reference. It goes on and on about like the power of books and literary things. And I'm like, yo, you went a little too hard on this, but it worked. So
Yeah, it's a conspiracy by oh, go ahead.
oh, I was gonna say John said my other answer, which is Percy Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those books were really formative too, just because Percy was someone that I really, really identified with.
Yeah. Oh man. Let's see. Angel says YA shit with protagonists who were ostracized because they were different, and then
Yeah.
them leveraging their differences to make friends with other weirdos were strangely formative for absolutely no
Yes.
reason. Yeah.
I agree with that 100%. Very good.
Yeah, that one's interesting. See, it's interesting because like thinking about that time in my life, like I felt I identified with that, but not because I felt like an outsider, but just because like I lived in rural Montana, and like in a town of like 500 people, and I had two friends that I basically hung out with all the time. But yeah, so like I identified with books and stories like that Edge of It for like, not because I didn't feel like I was fitting in, but because I was like didn't have many people, so it was interesting. I don't know. Yeah, that's I think those kinds of stories. Yeah, those kinds of stories definitely had a formative impact on me. Just because, I mean, well, you can see it in just all the like TTRPG stuff. If you look at any of our TTRPG stuff that we do on this channel, there it is. I mean, that's where it all went. So, so yeah,
You have the receipts.
yeah, exactly. um,
Goodness, I almost forgot to mention like all the monster films too that I watched as well.
yeah,
That was big. That was very important too. Frankenstein, the Wolfman.
Yeah, I mean, it's always fun like when you're a kid to read books where everything is just going wrong, and then somehow at the end of the day the like 12-year-old kid hero saves everybody, and you're like, oh yeah, like because you're 12 years old and you're like, I could do that, like it's I think, I don't know, I'm just so thankful for really good kid
mm-hmm.
stories. I think that they're super empowering.
Yeah. Now that you mention it, though, I do see it in another way, which is that, like, specifically in that, what you just said, which is, like, maybe not so much of, because I didn't, like I said, I didn't read a lot of, like, kids' books when I was a kid.
Mhm.
But, or I did, but they were generally the kind that were, like, older than my age group. So, but, yeah, one of the things that I know has been formative for me from those books with like the persevering hero or whatever, the one who always, right, is that like in my life I've always found a way. Like whenever there was any kind of problem or any kind of like stumbling block, I always found a way. Just with the
Mhm.
like there's a in one of them uh in I think it's in Doctor Who, in like, gosh, I don't even remember which season it was, but it was, I think it's season 9 with Capaldi. At the beginning, the witch is familiar with. It's the name of the episode. Um,
I don't know if I've seen that one.
Yeah, it's
I might have seen it. Is it or in his like early episodes?
No, this is his second season.
Okay,
There's
definitely
there's
haven't
a
seen
scene where Missy and Clara are walking around, and Missy is telling Clara a story about the doctor and how he survived an impossible situation a long time ago.
that.
And she's like, "Now, tell me, how did he get out of there?" And Clara's like, "It's because he goes in assuming he's gonna win." And she's like, "Exactly." And like that to me, just like that's the kind of story that has defined my existence. The kind that like I go into anything where like with any problem with like the idea that I don't know how to get through this right now, but I know that I can, and I know that it will happen. And so like I don't know, it's just
That's a good mentality.
yeah.
I I just want to say I love Eva just comment about Winnie the Pooh because Winnie the Pooh is a great like adventure. Like I don't know. I used to wake up at like when I was a child at 5:30 in the morning to watch Winnie the Pooh because I was obsessed with it. So that's a story that is so good. And
Yeah.
I don't have you guys did you guys watch first of all Winnie the Pooh and then did you watch the movie Christopher Robin?
I can't
that they
bring
made?
myself to do it. I can't do it.
Huh.
I won't do
I
it.
haven't.
So do you guys know the premise of Christopher Robin though, right? Because I think it
Mm-hmm.
I've never quite seen a movie like it. Because I don't know. I think I'm also like I was the perfect age for it when I saw it because I had just graduated college when it came out. And so I was like embracing what it meant to be an adult. And then this movie came out where it's revisiting nostalgia
Huh.
of kind of like the carefree Winnie the Pooh. And Christopher Robin is this like old grumpy man who has to work and doesn't have time for the fun that he used to have. And so it like I watched it with my roommates and we were just crying like our eyes out watching this stupid movie.
Huh.
So
Yeah.
I do it's a great I don't know if it's a great movie objectively, but I absolutely loved Christopher Robin.
I have a lot of like not bad associations, just strong associations with Winnie the Pooh. So anything that is remotely like emotional relating to Winnie the Pooh, I won't do it. Just cuz like yeah.
It is pretty emotional, but it has a happy ending.
That doesn't change anything. It's just more about the tone. So yeah
fair.
it's but yeah, I oh gosh, what was I gonna say? I saw. Also, thanks, Emma, this cat lady. That's stuck in my head now. Thank you very much. As it does every once in a while, the theme for the new adventures of Winnie the Pooh.
Oh yeah.
Oh, this is what I wanted to get. Edgefit says, "Does anyone remember that beautifully terrible movie, The Sorcerer's Apprentice, with Nick Cage?" I do remember it. There's one of like, was it like a Tesla coil or something like that? That like does that song by One Republic in like I don't remember. It was very stupid and I hated it. But yeah. Nico, thanks for stopping by. I'm glad you were here. It's always good to see you in the chat. Go sleep or whatever it is you're gonna do, which may or may not be sleep. It should be sleep, but
Bye, Nico.
Do what you got to do.
Yeah.
Karaoke Night says, not necessarily the book, but the experience reading a book was formative for me. I was in some kind of advanced reading group in 6th grade, and we read a book of short stories. The stories themselves were poignant and interesting, but I disagreed with the teacher's interpretations. She didn't say people could have different interpretations. She said we were wrong and she was right. And that class taught me more than just literature. Holy shit. That's...
Oof. I want to beat that teacher up.
Oh, God.
Tell her to meet me out back. Them to meet me out. Oh, yeah.
That's the worst.
Yeah.
God. Wait, Bree, you really did rewatch that movie recently? That's amazing. What an amazing coincidence, because that's a movie that should have been and largely has been relegated to the wastebasket of movie history.
It's like, what's the, like, I don't know. Do you ever think of like the really bad adaptation, like that kind of adaptation of a kind of a young adult middle grade book? Because I always think of
you mean like Artemis Fowl?
Yeah, Artemis Fowl. I was specifically thinking of City of Ember. Did you guys read that book?
No.
it's a really fucking cool book that's like there's an underground city and the kind of above land has been forgotten, and it's basically the main character is like discovering that there's a world outside of the an underground world essentially, and it's kind of dystopian, like everyone has kind of assigned jobs and stuff like that, but the main story is her rediscovering that there's a whole world out there, and it's just a great book. And then they made the worst movie adaptation.
I'm trying to remember. I feel like I've either seen that movie or I've seen a movie that's very similar, which would also not surprise me because, yeah.
And John, I'll start that foundation with you.
Meaning of people's bad English.
I had a really bad middle school English teacher, so I understand.
I was lucky enough that most of my like English or humanities teachers were like pretty good and supportive. I was lucky enough in that respect. If only my math teachers had been the same way.
Oh God.
Anyway, I had one really, really excellent math teacher at the end of high school. And she caught me up. And she like helped me do a lot of cool stuff and like catch up to where I should have been, and then to the point where I could actually take and comprehend the questions on the SAT.
That's good.
So that's very good.
Yeah, I didn't have a good one until actually college because I tested poorly in math. Just like, but I started at the very beginning, but the teacher was so excellent. The only thing was he's a sweet guy, very soft spoken. So every day I made sure I got there early so I could sit at the very front of class. A lot of other people would ask him to repeat the question, which was kind of helpful, but man, what a sweet guy.
Yeah.
Well, I could actually receive the information from his style.
That's so good because you and I have had a lot of the same math teachers, and Christ.
Yeah, seriously. What a
really
backwards way of learning math.
I don't really remember any math teachers I had. I think when I went to math class, I just blacked out. Like I just didn't pay any attention, which is terrible because I was so bad at math. But
the only math I really got into is geography. Not geography, sorry.
Geometry.
Geometry.
Yeah,
geography.
Geography.
Did you see? There you go. I told you. No.
Yeah.
Geometry was like the one I could almost get.
That was one it was rough for me. Geometry was rough for me. I could do trig really well, but like geometry, I was just.
I think I just memorized the shapes, and that was good enough somehow. I don't know.
Yeah.
You just like, this is a square.
It's like I am. I'm obtuse. I get it. I'm obtuse.
That just made me think
on the quiz. You just write, "This is a square."
That just made me think of that TikTok that's like, and where's this one go? That's right, the square hole.
Oof.
Oh gosh.
You guessed it, the square hole. And I'm sorry. That's from now on. That's how I'm going to picture Freeman doing geometry.
Yeah, and geography.
What's the capital of Australia? The square hole.
The square hole.
Yeah. Oh God.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Edge of it. Love that video and all the game designers commiserating in the comments. Yeah. Yep.
I love seeing what math everybody was good at and bad at in the chat. I think that's very cute.
Yeah.
I love that everybody's saying that.
Okay, bye, Bree. Thanks for coming and hanging out.
Take care.
And thanks for 15 months of subscription.
Wait, that's awesome.
That's incredible.
Wow.
Thank you so much, Bree. Yeah. It's still wild to me when we get a when somebody has subscribed for an amount of time that is like more than a year, because then I'm just like, wait, we've been able to do that for that long? Like,
oh, we've been here that long? We've been doing this?
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Oh my God.
Man.
Ninja Penguin says that video hit so hard since I've been on both the designer side and the QA side. Oh no. Oh God, game design QA sounds. it sounds like it would be very satisfying and kind of and fun, but also like but yeah, I don't envy you on that, but also I appreciate you.
Taking one for the team.
Taking one for the team, exactly. Sorry, Olivia, you looked like you were going to say something.
Oh no, I was just reading the chat.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know what QA stood for, but then Geekouts just told me. So
yes.
now I know what it stands for.
That the video game design I do is so much spreadsheets. Yeah, that's kind of what I have been given to understand by people I know who work in game design. So that's a language I do not understand, and I have no intention to start.
Yeah, I don't like spreadsheets. I know they'd be helpful, but it's just I open an Excel doc and I just like it just makes me want to cry.
It's what like Caitlin and I we do that thing where we just fundamentally like don't understand each other on this, and we just sort of like smile and shake our heads, but we're like but Caitlin loves spreadsheets.
Oh
like,
yeah,
she loves
she
them.
preaches the spreadsheet gospel. I've heard it.
She managed to convert John.
Like, I'm sure it's helpful once you figure out a system that
absolutely.
works for you. But the way that I try to do spreadsheets is I'll try to do one day and I'll spend like 6 hours doing it. And then I'll look at it the next day and be like, this is so unhelpful to me in any way. And then I'll think of a better way to do it. And I'll be like, well, I'm not going to do it a different way. Like, I've spent
Honestly,
6 hours doing it already.
It takes me so long to figure out all the things that I need to do for spreadsheets just to make it do what I want it to do. And then by the time I finally do and I come back to it later, it's like looking at something that was created by an entirely different person. I'm like, the fuck was he on about?
That's how
like,
I feel.
What the fuck was he on about? Like, I don't know what he...
Yeah, I totally agree. It's like you drew yourself a map but didn't give yourself like the legend, so you don't know what anything means.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I feel you.
Ninja Penguin's the same, and yet that is my job. I'm so sorry.
Wow.
But yeah.
Yeah, it's like Lily makes a spreadsheet for Gen Con every year. And it's so helpful because I never know what's going on for Gen Con because she just does all the scheduling. And like me, we go with her parents every year, and one of us will always ask, oh, so when are you doing this? Like, what are we doing on this day? And she'll always just say, just check the spreadsheet. I made the spreadsheet. And we're like, can't you just tell us, you know? And she's like, no, I made this damn spreadsheet. You guys are going to reference it. Like, to her parents, she says that.
That reminds me of, first of all, I find that a maddening way to attend a con. Secondly,
she's an Aries. What can you do?
I don't know what that means, Olivia. Anyway, but I remember when we were getting ready to do like the virtual convention last year, and Lily was like, "Hey, I made us a spreadsheet of stuff." I'm like, "I'm gonna be honest with you. I am not gonna look at that, and I'm not gonna put anything in it." So
it is super helpful when you're going with other people because I mean, you guys because like we'll sometimes split up to do different stuff, and then it's helpful because you know where they're gonna be.
Right.
But yeah, that's. You know, if people's phones are dead and you can't reach them, you're like, oh, well, they're going to be here at 8:15. So, but.
Yeah. John, I agree, John. I will never understand how people do Gen Con on a schedule. Me neither. Like, typically, like what Freeman and I did the first time we went, we had a rare moment of foresight, which was, hey, it's going to be super overwhelming. Let's try not to book ourselves solid. Let's just pick a few things that we know we want to go to and then just let everything else go from there. And honestly, one of the things that was like the most fun about that first Gen Con year, and for me, you don't, I'm not to speak for you, but like for me anyway, one of the things that was the most fun was like whenever we'd take our mandatory breaks from just sort of like walking around when we'd like dip in energy, I would always like, that's when I would pull out my phone and start looking through the schedule of stuff, or like looking at Twitter to people that I followed, what they were doing and what they had going on, and finding something and going like, hey, this looks fun, want to do that? And then just going.
That's a fun way. I mean, that's I think a fun way to do it.
Yeah,
absolutely. You'd hate to be kind of like their first time and not dipping your toes in a little bit of everything and just like exploring.
Yeah.
I feel like
as of now, I've been to Gen Con twice, and I have yet to play an actual like official con game at Gen Con.
Are you serious?
Dude,
that how?
I've been more weirdly I've been more interested in like the panels and in like performance stuff and
Yeah, I
like
mean there has been some cool
yeah,
performances.
and like I enjoy walking around the con floor and looking at cool shit. I don't know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean
I'm
that's
somebody who
fair.
enjoys unstructured time. I
Hmm.
I have
Yes,
like
please.
I don't understand. This is very similar to the whole con on a schedule thing, but like I don't understand people who get tourist packages for vacations. I'm like, how is that fun? You just like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I think like for I don't know, for Gen Con, I think it's fun to do kind of a mix of both
Yeah,
because I
absolutely.
really like to play I really like to play new systems at Gen Con because it's like with people who know, usually like the DM is very, versed in the system.
Hmm.
And I think something I don't recommend doing at Gen Con is playing a D&D game because people are weirdly bad at running D&D at Gen Con. Like every D&D game I played at Gen Con like has not been fun. Like
Yeah.
I've played maybe 3 games of D&D at Gen Con over the past several years and like none of them have been fun.
Yeah. I mean, like, yeah, that's fair, and I truly and honestly believe that because like think about it in terms of like D&D being one of the like largest and most popular systems out there. Like basically everybody decides like I'm gonna run D&D, even if it's like if they're just kind of like okay at it. But like people with like lesser known systems are probably if they choose to run those lesser known systems at a con, it's probably because they know what they're doing, and like
Mhm.
yeah, so that makes sense to me.
Yeah, but like other systems were fun that,
Hmm.
like but not a D&D one. And
Yeah.
now I think once you go to Gen Con a couple times, you're like, oh, I'm not going to plan as much stuff because other stuff will just happen. Like the spreadsheet got a lot thinner.
Yeah. Yeah. Our first year we literally just went to all like the Geek and Sundry stuff. Like that's the only stuff we
Yeah.
planned to go
Yeah,
to.
that was fun.
And then
RIP.
Yeah.
they're still going.
They're not.
They're really not.
Not in my
No, they're
heart.
not.
Not in my heart.
I don't think they're going in anybody's heart. Yeah.
Speaking of Gen Con, I have my little badge here.
Yeah, can I wonder if I can get that over? Nope. It's
Rip.
not gonna happen.
Oh my god, geek outs. Literally those words were just about to come out of my mouth. Rip Alpha. That was literally
Oh
just about to
yeah.
come out of my mouth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I wish I could finish Callisto 6. RIP.
Oh god. Yeah. Uh man. I am glad though that we were able to squeeze into the last alpha party that
I'm so mad I didn't go to that.
oh
I ran
no.
into everybody drunk though leaving AlphaCon, like Gina and like
Oh
all
my
those
God,
people.
yeah.
Lily and I were walking back to our to like a get to our hotel for something, and
Yeah.
we ran into them and they just hugged me because they were drunk as hell.
That's so
Yeah.
One of
funny.
them did. I don't remember who, but
I just love those lines to the bar though. It's like 4 different bars, but everyone's like
what
double
happened at the
tasting
Alpha
because by the
party?
time you get to
Honestly, I couldn't tell you. I was too busy panicking. So like
Oh, you didn't have fun?
it was fine. It was mostly just Freeman and I walking around and standing at various
hmm
places.
I mean,
Um
that's what all
Yeah.
parties are.
yeah, that's true. That's fair. And then there was me going to the drink line a couple times because I was like didn't know what else to do. And Freeman was outside. So
I think it was
Well,
Bonnie. I think you're right, my geek outs. I think it was Bonnie.
that would not
It
surprise
was
me.
Bonnie it was Bonnie or Gina.
Yeah. I suspect it was Bonnie. I suspect that's the
I
case.
think it was Bonnie.
Yeah. I that's actually when the alpha party got fun for me was when like those folks showed up. Cuz then I was like like hanging out with people that like I kind of knew and I got to talk with people. It's where Sam Delev recognized me because of a letter that I had sent in, and Sam
Mm-hmm.
recognized me before I introduced myself, and that was an
Oh,
incredible moment where I was
I
just
love
like,
that.
"Hi," and then like, yeah, I love that story. That's what kind of turned
That's so sweet.
yeah is what kind of turned my Gen Con experience around. Not that it was bad before that, but like it could have been a lot worse had that not happened. I was starting to feel kind of weird. I was like, this feels strange. I don't feel like I belong anywhere here. Like, I mean, not like I felt like an outsider or anything like that, but just, just it felt like isolating.
I mean,
Like it was just me and Freeman, and like
yeah,
in
like
a
you guys
sea
don't
of
know
people. Yeah,
anybody, and like even though people don't really know each other, they might seem like they know each other because they're
yes,
talking to
exactly.
each other, kind of that
Mhm.
thing.
Yeah,
And
or like have it like in the case of uh the stream punks community, like several of them had been talking online and interacting online for a long time, and me, I had only just come into that like a couple months before that, so like I didn't know who
that's when you
anybody
just
was.
start talking to people in the bar line. That's the
See,
strategy.
what's interesting, what's really interesting? We talked to people in lines at Gen Con all the time that year,
Yeah.
but not in the bar line. In the bar line,
Really?
not at all. That was the thing
I
that was
always
weird.
talk to people in bar
The
lines.
thing is, like,
I'm so annoying.
there
Bars.
there was just not a there just what didn't feel like I was surrounded both times I was there. I was surrounded by groups of people who were very involved in their own conversations, and I was just in the middle of two different groups of people who were like, so it wasn't like there were individuals in the bar. Like if it was just individuals in the bar line, absolutely I would have started talking, but I was just in a really bad situation for that.
Oh no. Have you guys ever been to like a con or like a con event that like you really didn't like you didn't really belong there, but you were there and it just felt very bizarre? Because I one time went to a like Otakon, which is a huge anime con in Baltimore. It's like huge. Like there's thousands and thousands of people. And I went like a couple years ago, and I'm not really an anime person. Like I like some animes, but I don't really know anything. And
Mhm.
I went to this anime con with Sarah because her friend was there and we were meeting up with her. And I had no idea what was going on. I walked into that hotel room and they were taking like sexy cosplay photos. And I was like, I don't know what's happening. I was in the bar and there were people in anime cosplays everywhere.
That's amazing. No, I don't know that I've ever had that experience. That's, I mean, I can
I
imagine it.
recommend it. If you ever see like a con, back when, whenever we can go to cons again, if there's ever a con like nearby that it's not something you really know that much about, but you just want to see people,
Mm-hmm.
I really
Mhm.
recommend it because it was a ton of fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, Edge of it. That makes sense. Yeah, like that's the main reason I've never been to any cons here, even in London. I'll be honest. I don't like talking to people I don't know, especially if I'm on my own.
Mhm.
Makes sense. Like I do understand that. Like the weird thing is, normally if it this is kind of like the weird thing about how like my social and like self works basically, right? Where if I was in a line anywhere else but at that like at like a party or something like that, right? Like just in a line for an event, immediately I would have started talking to anybody who was around. I would have found something to talk about. But the fact that it was a line in like a room where loud music was playing and like all that sort of stuff, just immediately I just felt like I
Mhm.
just yeah. So I don't know. It's very it's weird, but yeah. I don't know.
I've
I
only
don't know.
been to a few cons,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, maybe one day.
Yeah.
I mean, there are a ton in Washington,
Yeah,
right?
we went to one day of Emerald City Comic Con
It's true.
a
Have you guys
few
ever been
years
to
ago.
PAX?
Mm-mm.
Heard, but haven't been.
Yeah, Emerald City Comic Con was really weird because it was like at that point the only con experience we'd had was Gen Con, and uh, Gen Con is pretty specific. It's a tabletop game convention.
Yeah,
Like
and it's like a tabletop game. Like it's
yeah,
not,
yeah. Comic Con was weird because in Gen Con without a doubt that you have at least one thing in common with every single person in those like
Yeah.
60 to
yeah, so it's
70,000
it's
people.
very easy to talk to people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When it comes to Comic-Con, there's like the anime people, there's the comic people, there's the video game people, there's the people who are there for tech stuff. Then there's, and there's
Mhm.
whatever, right? Any number of things. So it's so much harder to like get into it without knowing who your people are.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah,
Yeah.
But it was fun to walk around for sure.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's the difference between the two also like the lay of the land wise is Emerald City is Comic-Con's convention center is and one is a building and it's goes up, whereas in a Gen Con it goes out.
Yeah.
And there's like
Goes out for like
it's yeah.
the labyrinth.
Mhm.
Yeah. I did meet Jody Hauser at Emerald City Comic Con though, and Jackson
Oh,
Lansing.
really cool.
Yeah, I talked with
Yeah.
Jackson for a while. Actually, I talked with him about Infinite Horizon before it was a thing.
Oh
Yeah,
my gosh.
because I told him
That's right.
I was like, yeah, no, like I was inspired a lot by like what you've talked about when you've talked about creating the setting for Vast, right? I was inspired by, you know, like a lot of what you talked about when you talked, because I never actually watched Vast. I never got a chance to watch Vast, but yeah, but I've heard Jackson talk about it before, and hearing him talk about like how like all the different kinds of world building that he did and explain some of the lore and stuff like that in the pieces of Vast I did watch was a really big deal. So I got to talk with Jackson a little bit about that, and then of course we didn't end up doing Infinite Horizon that year. We did Dungeons and Dorm Rooms instead, but yeah.
Oh, dungeons and dorm rooms.
Yep. Oh man. Yeah.
Love D&D. Dungeons and Dorm. DDR.
Mhm.
Yep. We
That's right.
It's still
Dungeons
Jackson's.
and Dragons and dorm
Yeah.
rooms.
When I told Jackson about it, he was his words to me were like, "Wow, he's like that's really great." He's like, "I'm really excited to see what you do with that." And I regret every day not having something to hand him to be like, "Hey, this is who we are. This is where you can find us and follow us along, right? Follow along on how where it goes." And it makes me so sad. But yeah.
You wake up at night and just think of that moment.
Legitimately, that has happened to me. That has legitimately happened to me.
Oh, I don't
Yeah.
doubt it.
Yeah.
Like that may not be the reason I woke up, but I do think about it.
Mhm.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh God.
I think there's something about like con spaces that I don't know, like even if you're a person that doesn't really like talk to strangers or like talk with people in circumstances like that you don't know, something about the space, it kind of like lets you let loose from like who you are outside of that
Yeah.
space. Because like for me, like I've never been to Indianapolis, you know, like so when I get there, I'm like, no one here knows who I am. Like I'm just gonna go and like do whatever, you know, because no one there is gonna
Such as
probably not gonna see them again.
such
but
as
then,
invite
you know.
yourself to a game of D&D that, you know, you overheard somebody else being invited to.
Yeah, and that worked out great for me.
I mean, here you are, so.
So true.
Yep. So
Oh.
it's like just take the chance.
I tell that story on this show a lot, but I'm gonna do it again because because you're here and it's great. Which is just that
Yeah.
like we were at a Mall Kids meetup, and because we had plans that we were going to
I did a lot of risky stuff like that year.
we were gonna wait. We were there to meet up with Caitlin and Byrne because we had planned that we were going to like play a game of D&D together. And so we were there because we knew that they were going to be at this Mall Kids meetup because Caitlin did the art and Matthew was there and they were just sort of talking, and I was there and I didn't really know what anybody was talking. This is a kind of a micro experience that you like what you were talking about, Olivia, where like because I wasn't that familiar with Mall Kids. I just knew that it was a thing that Caitlin had worked on, so I was just kind of there listening and didn't really feel like I belonged there. But anyway, so then afterwards, like I was inviting somebody to the game, and I remember seeing you, Olivia. In fact, I think you and I were sitting next to each other during like the meetup because we had like chairs.
I think because I was kind of sitting next to Caitlin because I kind of knew her at that point because I had met her the year before.
Mm-hmm. Maybe.
So
yeah, I don't remember. Either way, I do remember that like I was inviting somebody to come and play the game, and I remember noting you kind of sitting at a table a little ways away.
because I like.
Yeah, you're just kind of like
They're
sitting
like
there,
this.
and then I remember you like stood up and you just sort of like walked over and like, did I hear you guys say you're gonna go play D&D? I was like, yeah, you want to come? Also, what's your name? Hi.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's how we met.
Mm-hmm. It's true. Yep.
True story. True story.
I loved that everything about that. Yeah,
Mhm.
John. I exactly that game of D&D literally changed my life. Yep. I agree.
That was a really fun D&D game.
It
That
was.
was
It's
so
a fun
fun.
D&D game.
Was that
Lucas made us cry, as he
No
does
surprise
often
there.
now. I think it's so appropriate that the first time I met you, you made me cry.
That's maybe my favorite thing anybody has ever said to me.
Oh.
That's yeah. Oh my
Yeah, I
god.
remember that was I made it like an investigator or inquisitor or something,
Yeah,
like a
the-
D&D version of a detective, and
I
it was I
even-
was kind of trying to do like a play testing
Yeah.
a detective character that
Mhm.
I wanted to play,
Oh,
and that was
yeah.
the kind of like me testing out not really testing out Mason, but just kind of getting the
Like,
feel for it, a
yeah,
detective kind of
character
thing.
type.
Well, because
Mhm.
it's you can draw a straight line from like that character to Mason because you originally had that character concept when we were playing Pathfinder,
Yep.
and
Oh my
you had it
God,
as
yeah.
like a thing that you wanted to do when you like if your character died as a backup character, and
Mhm.
then it never ended up happening. You were gonna do it for a one shot, and then we never did. And then Gen Con came along, and you're like, you know what? I'm gonna play an inquisitive rogue because I'm gonna do
Mhm.
that. And that was like your outlet for that character idea that you had. And then when we started coming up with Infinite Horizon, when we started like actually doing Infinite Horizon, you were like, I know what character I'm gonna make, and Mason. That's where Mason came from.
And the detective in the cipher system is so much better
Mm-hmm.
than in D&D.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No surprise.
You kind of have to do Pathfinder if you're gonna play that kind of character, I think.
Yeah, yeah. If you're gonna play like your like a D20 system like that, you're probably
That's
gonna
true.
want to. Yeah.
But I don't know. I think that the thing that was really, besides like obviously you guys are fun, but I think the thing about that D&D game that really like, I don't know, it was very moving was one, it was just a fun D&D game, but two, I think that it's rare that you find people that tell stories and like do games in the same way as you and like
Yeah.
play in a way that is kind of, I don't know, more like story based or more, I don't know, like I've played a lot of tabletop games with people that don't do that, and I've always wanted that kind of game experience. And then like I don't know, it's just like I sat at that table and we all just like clicked in, like I don't
Yeah.
know what happened,
no,
but it was
that's very true. Like that is a thing that I experienced with tabletop RPGs for a long time in my life, right? But me, I never got that experience. So in my mind, I was like, oh, well, maybe that's just a thing that's like idealized, and it can't be like that. Maybe I just have to accept that this is what TTRPGs are, right?
Mhm.
And that's when, like, not to get all like, whatever on this, but like when I found Critical Role, I watched them playing the game the way that I wanted, like with the amount of like emotional investment and commitment,
yeah.
and like, ability to like like actually role play their characters and stuff like that, and treat the
Yeah.
game as more than a game. That's when I was like, wait, so it is possible, and that was like a huge,
Mhm.
huge game changer for me, literally.
Well, and that's actually, I got introduced to tabletop from Critical Role. I mean, like I knew people who played it before, like I knew kind of what it was. I had been interested in it, but I never really got the option to play. But that's like what taught me what it actually was.
Yeah, yeah. So like, yeah, I mean, it's very interesting and unfortunate just the way that kind of came together, that we just like we all just, and the thing is, like, we didn't just click as like uh like players of D&D. We clicked just as people. Like
Yeah.
I remember one of my favorite, like, we're like well past the end time of this episode, but I remember
Classic.
You're getting like behind this. This is our backstory
I know,
episode.
yeah. I think Crystal once actually did suggest that we do an origins episode of Ramblemancy, where we just like
We're
talk
doing
about
it right now.
we're
That
doing
was
it
our
now,
theme.
I guess.
Pranks and origins.
But no, like I remember like the next day, one of my favorite memories of from like that Gen Con then was the next day when we were at the Super Punks meetup. Or we like I we came in a little bit later than you guys did. You and Lily were already there, and I remember like seeing you over there, and we like all cut. We were we were just like stood there, and after we all said hello again or whatever, I remember Olivia just like you standing near me and just sort of looked at me and, you were just like, hi, and I was like, hey, and then you just gave me this like awkward like hug, like you were going, like you wanted to hug me but you weren't, were trying to make sure it was okay, and
Yeah.
I was like, okay, yes, absolutely.
So, yeah. I don't remember that, but I trust you that happened.
Yeah. It's burned into my brain. I remember that.
Oh, man.
Yep.
I can't wait until we can go to conventions. I got like Gen Con again. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Oh man. That will be amazing.
Yeah. Oh, also very funny. Just my last anecdote from that for tonight. But I do remember like one of the things that I did like the previous day. I actually did invite Eric Campbell to play in that game with us, that D&D game. And he gave me a maybe because like he had like a lot of shit that he was going to, like different events and things like that he needed to be at. But he was like, yeah, no, absolutely. He's like, I'll just message Caitlin if I'm free. And I was like, yeah, absolutely, that'll be great. And he never ended up coming. But the next day when we were at the meetup, I remember so clearly like you, Olivia, and because I think like Bree and Finn had to leave early, and so like Olivia, you and Lily and Caitlin were like we're like telling them what happened after they left. And then I remember Eric was sitting there and he was like listening, and it all like finished, right? Caitlin finished telling what happened, and I looked at Eric, I was like, you missed a hell of a game, Eric. He's like, yeah, I've been hearing about it. So
I didn't know he had heard us tell that whole story. I never knew that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was sitting there. He was listening.
Incredible.
He was listening.
I wonder if that was before or after Lily and I played Magic with them.
I think it was after, because this is a totally different year.
Oh yeah.
So
I guess that was a different year.
yeah.
I get the years all confused. I think everything happened at the same time.
Yeah. Oh gosh. So anyway, yeah. So that there you have it. That's yeah.
Man.
That's the origins. And Freeman, you had like fun dyed hair at the time. I remember.
It was like acid green at that time, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it was.
it
That's
was.
because it was fading. But yeah, it was supposed to. It was like, it was green. But yeah, it faded. It was acid. It was fun.
I distinctly remember when I met you. I when you introduced yourself, I was like, Freeman, is that his first name or his last name? Is he the kind of? I was trying to like unpack it. I was like, is he the kind of guy that goes by his last name? Like what? I was like trying to just pin you down. I
get that. I get that though. I get that. It's like last name? No. Okay. Cool. Because it is more commonly a last name. But it so happens that is my first name. Or is it?
Well, now we know.
Anyway,
maybe
it is now the time when we would normally be actually ending the episode instead of when we are trying to start ending. But okay, wait. Geek Out says, "Wait, I got it. What do you have?" The cryptid with 2 last names.
There it is.
There we go. That's what it is. Problem solved.
I like that. A lot.
Yep. All right. Well, on that note, it is time for us to go. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming and hanging out and listening to us go on about nothing and everything.
Many topics.
You know, all of it.
All over.
Just pulling it all in here. Yeah. Anyway.
Just a good way to wrap things up before the off week.
It's good that you name these just like by the number of episode and not like a subject.
That's not true at all.
It's not true. Do you guys name them by?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe I just see them on Twitch, and that's why I think that.
Oh, I'm gonna have some fun when I highlight things here.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna have fun.
I can't believe I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Maybe I did know that, and I just forgot.
That's all.
Let's go with that.
But yeah. Well, everybody. Thanks for hanging out. Olivia, thank you for coming and rambling with us.
Thanks for having me. Always down.
We will be back not next week, but the week after, starting hopefully with Into Deep on Tuesday. Is that the 13th? I think it is. Hold on, I have to look at the calendar. Yeah, Tuesday the 13th. That will be our first day back. So Yeah. And at around that time, probably actually not on that day, but on during Infinite Horizon, we'll have more like up to date info about the charity stuff that is coming at the end of the month. So keep an eye out for that. Otherwise,
Have
everybody.
some good holidays. There are some holidays coming up. Easter and Ramadan will probably start before we come back. So
Yeah. Yeah.
have a good one.
Yep. So have good holidays. Have a good week, everybody. We'll see you on Tuesday for
Don't forget to subscribe to our Patreon.
We'll see.
Had to bring it back.
Yeah, we'll see you on Tuesday the 13th for Into Deep, or we'll see you around the Discord. But if not, we'll see you the next time you decide to come roll with us. Good night and good zone, everybody.